what I really want to do is go over these charts here, and I want to go over the market overview real quick. So let's start off with IWM, and let's take a look at the weekly. We're going to focus mostly on the weekly on this meeting, so to speak. So let me flip over to that real quick. First thing I want to say is, so we're coming up to the end of the quarter. So definitely big hedge funds may be in the process of taking some profits on some positions that they've had running for the quarter or even longer. And so, be aware that there could be some profit taking across the board for some big players. So that's just something that we definitely need to be aware of. All right. Next thing is, I believe we have a quad witching coming up as well, where quarterly, weekly, monthly options expire. So the folks that are making the options market, they have a war that they usually fight out. So, things will be volatile. So there may be a lot of things, like a lot of trades that's set up that just don't play out or don't work out. So just understand, that's why, because the market forces are, at war and things aren't very smooth at the moment. But let me go ahead and just hop into IWM real quick. So looking at the weekly chart, we can see that we had a big down week. We got rejected off of 228, a key level, and we made our way all the way back down to 221. We basically want to hold above this 221 level. If you start to see IWM trade below that, then the chances are we're probably going to head lower. So just be aware. The market could also be putting in some type of a head and shoulders, so to speak. Actually, you know what? This would be the head here. So ignore this high right here. The head would be the high here. This would be the left shoulder, this whole structure in here. And then this whole several weeks to the right of it would be the right shoulder, with the last 3 weeks being a 3-candle reversal. So we'll see what happens. I'm not calling for the market to go down or anything like that, but we're simply just reading what it is that we see. So here's that left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So you guys can see it a bit clearer. All right. So be aware that IWM is currently under pressure. Let's take a look at SPY. Zoom in here. All right. So SPY basically last week was so bearish that it really took away the gains from the previous 2 weeks. All right. So this one candle is pretty much equal to these two. So the last 2 weeks pretty much got erased. So that means September is currently at a deficit or at a negative. And we don't know if the upper Bollinger Band is going to hold or if it's going to create a bounce like it has previously. So we'll just wait and see. We got to observe. But again, just be cautious in your game planning for what you're going to do this week. All right. Let me try to go ahead and go over to QQQ. One sec. All right, QQQ, we basically just erased last week's progress. Still, pretty calmly trading above the upper Bollinger Band, but I mean, it could still drop 10 points and come down to retest it. So just be aware. This 368 level is really a key level at this point now. I just have to flip it to green. But in the meantime, just be aware that, 368 is really the key level. So if price does begin to drop on QQQ, look for that area for the 368.50 for price to start bouncing. All right, we're to find some type of bottom there. And let's take a quick look at VIX too. So VIX will obviously be one thing that we'll keep our eye on next week. If price starts to, continue higher and break above this 20 level. I mean, look at this, like, wow, right? Like this could actually be, if this were any other chart, we'd say that this were breaking out to the upside. So definitely continue to keep an open mind and just be aware that the market could be in the process of, pulling back or correcting for a bit, just because we have end of quarter and things might be shuffling around. So with the way that this looks, if this were any other chart, the way that I would call it would be, I would say, hey, once we can get over 2182, we'd be looking for 25. It's just that simple. So if that's the case with VIX, we'll find out. But remember, this 25 level has been really strong as resistance in the past. And if we can get up as high as this 28, I'm definitely looking to start buying things if price get up to either of these levels. So if price gets up to 25, I'll be looking for failure or any type of weakness, and then I'll start buying stocks. And if price got up to 28, so broke over 25 and then pushed up towards 28, if we saw any type of weakness, then boom, I'm gonna look at buying stocks here. So either of these levels. So definitely continue to keep this one in mind as we go about our week. All right, let me go through my favorite names. So I wanted to add PTON to this list too real quick. Give me one sec. All right, so looking at Apple, let me go ahead and zoom into the weekly. Zoom in, zoom in. All right, we had a box breakout, right? 8-point box. We pretty much basically got to target. I mean, to be honest with you, target one would be 58. We haven't gotten all the way there, but we got practically there. I mean, we went up to 157.26, so 75 cents away. And now price got rejected off of that level and is now pushed all the way back down to the upper Bollinger Band. So the upper band is at roughly 149. So if we can hold 149 and then get back above 150, then obviously Apple's looking pretty good. Now, I believe Apple has some news coming out about the new iPhone either this week or next week. So, you know, keep that in mind. They may be releasing new products, anything. So just be aware that Apple could definitely still turn here. But right now, it looks like, you know, the bulls, that the bulls have lost control and that the bears are trying to hold it down. Now, this one candle isn't going to just tell us, you know, everything. What it's basically just saying is that, hey, I'm back at support and you got to watch and wait and see if I'm going to bounce from here or what. But I would think that Apple would need at least 2 weeks to fully turn around. Like, I wouldn't expect for this week to just open up and just be a big green candle or a blue candle that just pushes right back up to 158. But it's possible, right? So just keep your mind open for anything. But Apple could totally lose 149 and head back down towards 145. At the same time, it could just hover here and go sideways, like right around 148 to 150, that little zone right there. Or, you know, there's that unexpected possibility where price just pushes all the way back up here towards 155 to 158. Either way, we need to wait and let this one shake out. So no obvious trades right now on Apple. All right, let's zoom in and take a look at any. Actually, let me change up my weekly chart. Give me a sec here. Do I got a smaller one? No, I thought I had a 3-year. It's all good. Okay, so this chart looks pretty bullish, to be honest, right? There's a couple different ways you can map it out. You could say, hey, there's a box between these two levels right here, 122 and 450. If that's the case, you're really looking for like 3 points, and we've already gotten 3 points above that. So target 1 and target 2 would have been hit already 2 weeks ago. So if we're looking at it and we're imagining that this is the daily chart, I would be looking for price to get over this close right here. So 655. So let's set that as the key level. So if price can break over and hold 655 this week, then definitely I'm looking for any to go ahead and push up and go higher. So if that's the case, let's target last week's high first, which was what, 761. So let's just mark that out. All right, so we'd be looking for 761 first. And then if we could get above 761, let's flip down to the daily to see what our next target would be. It would be this close of this candle right here. So that would be 940. All right, so we'd be looking for 761 or 940. And remember, the key level is 655. If we can maintain this 655 level, then, you know, we'd also be probably holding on to the upper Bollinger Band, which is near 7. And if we can get over that, then boom, 761, above 761, we could push back up towards 930, 940. All right, if we get back above that, then we're looking at 12 again. All right, so those are our levels, and let's see if we can map out a trade. All right, trade wise, oh, you know what? Probably play it safe. The safe way to play it would be to go with the October 15 7 calls for $1.25, or either take a look at the 9 calls for 85 cents. That makes sense. All right, so I would be playing these levels right here, basically 7 and 9. Those are the 2 levels that I'll be playing because those are the targets that we're looking for, right? So as long as price holds 655, or if you see price starts to trade over $7, then potentially step into October 15 7 calls or October 15 9 calls. So that's the game plan for any. All right. Now, if you do trade October 15s, just keep in mind that you're giving yourself a couple of weeks to let this play out. So maybe this week price goes sideways a little bit, doesn't do much, but then maybe 2 weeks from now, price boom, heads up towards 940. And then maybe you need another week for price to get up towards 12. Okay, so just keep in mind that as long as you are closer to the money, so you're in 7s, you're going to have a higher probability of maybe being patient enough to reach 12. But if you get 9s, you're probably going to want to run that once price gets to 9, right? Or 940, this target here. So just keep in mind however you're going to play it. But just know that this is a weekly chart trade and that you could potentially hold it for a few weeks. All right, ASO. Now, this one is definitely pretty bullish, I'd say, right? Let's go ahead and mark out the levels first. So the high, the close here was 42.41. Let me, boom, mark that out. So this is the key level, right, where price closed at this level here, 42.41, and then wasn't able to basically push higher until the last 2 weeks. Okay, so this is a key level now, so let's mark that out. We'll flip that to green. All right, boom. So we got that key level there. Now let me flip over to the daily to try to identify a couple other levels here real quick. All right, let's go with, what's this close right here? 45.14. Let's mark that out. And then the high here was 45.92. So let's mark that out too. Okay. So if we can get above 45.92, I have 94 here, but 45.92, then I'm thinking price is going to push higher. And if we're looking for targets, let me flip back to the weekly to identify our target. The high of this box right here is 42.41. The low would be the low of this candle right here, which is roughly 37. I'm sorry, roughly 33.55. All right, so what is the difference there? What's that? 33 to 42. So that's like 9 points. So we'd be looking for price to potentially push towards 51. So we'd be looking definitely for a stop, a firm stop around 50, and then maybe price can push up towards 51. So let me just mark out a level there, and then the target would be roughly 51 here. Let me see. Let's just drop a little line right there. Okay. So if we can get over 46 here, right, next week, now we're looking for potentially a move up to 50, 51. Let's see if we can find some contracts to make that work. All right. Yeah, that's where all of the options traders are, pretty much at 50 and 55. I would be at the 50s. Okay, so if you want to trade this out of the money, take a look at the October 15 50 calls. And if you wanted, I would look at the 49s, I would look at the 50s, and also the 46s. Okay, and I wouldn't play September 17th. All right, I just wouldn't do that. Even though there's some heat on them right now, I still would play October 15th, just to be honest. Okay, so that's the game plan and the thought process for ASO. It has a really strong weekly chart and also a really strong daily chart, right? So look at this candle right here. This was all red at one point, and then it completely reversed. And then after it reversed, boom, you had a gap up the next day. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if this shit was bullish as fuck on Monday. Okay, so keep this one in your game plan. Now, if you do want to trade it like as a day trade, then cool. I can see the September 17s, maybe taking a stab at these 46s or 47s on Monday if price can break 46, and then, you know, in and out bank robber mode on those. All right. If you have a big day, then cool. But we looking to take profit around $49 to $51 though. That's my thought process on ASO. All right, let's take a look at BBIG. BBIG. All right, just pushing. It's just continuing to push. The way we'd have to trade it is allow price to get above 1050, then you'd be looking for targets around 12 to 1250. And really, this is more or less just a level to level trade at this point. If price can break and close on the daily above 1250, then I'd be thinking about holding it and seeing how far it could push up. I believe we have a price target of 17 for this one based upon a previous box breakout. So that is ultimately what we're looking for, is for price to get towards 17. But at this point, with the way that the chart is shaped up, let's look to trade it level to level. So if that's the case, we'd be looking at, if price can break over 1050 and hold, we'd be looking to try 11s, 12s, or 1250s. And that's probably it. All right. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong dates too. Give me a second. I wanted to look at October 15s. So if I'm playing October 15, then maybe I'd step out to the 13s. All right. Like, I probably don't want to pay $250 for a $10 stock, to be honest, but maybe I can be convinced to trade, you know, the 200s. All right. $200 contract rather, around 13. You can see most of the volume here for options is that priced at 15 and at 20. I think 20 is kind of like a, you know, a hope, but I feel like 15 to 17 is definitely doable according to how we do things in the box breakout that I saw. But, you know, be careful. This would definitely be like a weekly chart trade that you'd hop into if price broke over 1050. All right. Let's take a look at Disney. Again, we're focusing most of our attention on the weeklies here. So this is week 1 of Disney getting into an uptrend. So last week it closed above the upper Bollinger Band. You can see the bands are tight. It's giving us the indication that we're going to get a bigger move coming in soon. It may not be this week, but maybe it's the week of the 24th. All right. Or maybe it's the week of October the 1st. We'll see. But what we're looking for is for price to get up to 90 to 92. What we want to see is price trade above this key level here at basically 184 to 185. Let's call it 184.40, which is what we have marked out. So if we can get above 184.40, 184.50, and we're trading above that on the daily, then look for price to go to 187.50, then 190, then 192. All right. So the weekly's looking real good. Again, in the spirit of giving ourselves the most time, I would take a look at the October 15 195s. You can see there's a lot of heat on the 200s. I'm not sure we're going to get that high. Last I read in the news, the lines at Disney were down quarter to quarter. So we'll see what happens. All right. But the weekly is definitely looking good at this point. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Now, if I wanted to play it more shorter term, maybe I'd try the September 24th. All right. And if price broke above that 184.40 level, I'd probably take a stab at the 187.50s, maybe the 190s. Okay. But even better would probably be the October 1st calls. Probably the 190s here would probably be the better bet. All right. So just keep that in mind. And remember that, you know, we got quarterly in, rebalancing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Let's take a look at DraftKings. So this is a good example actually to follow up Disney with, because Disney just had this candle right here. So it's in this phase of breaking out, right? Where this was the first candle. And you can see it took a couple of weeks for that thing to actually go or to really push, right? The following week, price just chopped sideways, really went nowhere, pretty much premium burned you. And then finally it gave you a few points. All right. So maybe that's what Disney does. So, or maybe Disney smacks and goes higher. But again, just laying out multiple scenarios so you can be prepared and know what to expect or potentially watch out for. DraftKings looks good. Let's just keep it simple. If price breaks over 64, we're looking for price to head up towards 70, if not 72. Okay, it's all a matter of how many weekly candles is going to take us to get there. If we're taking a look at October 15s, I'm still working with these 70s right here. That's still my favorite. So if price can break over or get a close on the daily above 64, then boom, go ahead and step into these 70s for October the 15th. All right, so keeping that one real simple. All right, let's look at Facebook. All right, Facebook has pretty much been a straight line. All right, again, another example of when price closes above the weekly and begins an uptrend. You could have price pull back and then go, so it may take you a couple of weeks for things really get going. But if you have time, let's say you have bought the October 15s, you would have had 3 weeks to ride it out, right? And potentially catch this type of move. So just keep in mind again. So I'm just trying to paint those scenarios for you guys. Right now, Facebook has been one of my favorites with things changing in the overall market as far as like the SPY being bearish and IWM being bearish, et cetera, et cetera. I gotta, put tech on pause just a little bit. I still got some faith that this one may move, but I'm definitely moving cautiously. So let's keep this one real straightforward. If price breaks over 382.50, then we're looking for price to move up towards 390, if not 395. Okay, but we do want to see this move above 382.50. Now, one thing that we do like is if we take a look at the daily. All right, we take a look at the daily. We do have a very nice bull flag. All right, this whole up move is the flag pole, and then this whole sideways action is the bull flag. Okay. Now keep in mind this flag could materialize two ways. This could be a retest of the upper Bollinger Band before price turns, pushes, and goes higher, or this could be, hey, I'm losing some steam. I'm going to come down a bit further, maybe even here to 373 or 370 before bouncing and turning and pushing higher. And that's just still giving this a bull flag formation. It's just extended. Okay, so be patient. Let's let price get over 382.50. Then we can step into Facebook. And if we're going to step into Facebook, let's see what those October 15s are looking like real quick. These are probably out of our price range, so we got to play it a bit closer to the vest. Let's take a look at the October 1st. Yeah, I would say the October 1st 395s. That would probably be the way to play it. Maybe even the 400s. All right, maybe even the 400s. Let me look at October 8th real quick. Yeah, I probably like the October 1st better. And let me look at 15s again, see if I like any of those. I mean, it would have to be the 400s, but I don't even have price going that high right now. So, keep that in mind. All right. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Gsat, Global Star. Let's zoom into this weekly. All right, now this one looks pretty good, right? This is really like a box breakout here over 3. And then you would have, you'd be shooting for 6. But I mean, even if you were looking at this on the daily, you'd be like, damn, this is bullish. So we got to close above, I would think 250 will be a key level because it's been capping the market for a minute. Let's go ahead and mark that out. All right. But also keep in mind, there are some traders that's watching this $3 level right here too. So you can call this a box breakout based upon the close here. Like if you just had a line chart, you wouldn't see any of this up here. You would just see this little pivot right there. So you would have a box breakout for line chart traders. So definitely the line chart traders could be stepping into this saying that, hey, this is a breakout. We're about to make our way towards, it would be a 250 box. So about to make our way towards 5. Okay. So, but on the flip side, if we get above 3, then now we're looking for a move towards 6. So let's go ahead and just take a look and see what the October 15, woo, these are pretty cheap. All right. So I would definitely just be right here at 3. Okay. Right here at 3. And with the way that things closed last week, you could probably go ahead and just step right on into these on Monday. Okay, so take a look at Gsat. $3 calls for October the 15th, currently priced at 35 cents. All right, so this will be a good move for somebody that's looking to get involved but not really get too crazy. All right, cheap, $35 a contract. All right, let's take a look at JD. So this one we like, right? Because we closed above the upper Bollinger Band. We continue to push higher. We closed higher, week to week, right? So 3 consecutive higher closes, right? Closed at 76.43 here, 79.86 here, and 80.64 here. So do we push higher again this week now, right? If so, then looking for price to get to 85, if not 88. Let me take a look at the daily to see what would be a good area for us to start to step in. Let's look here. What's this right here? 80.78. Yeah, we closed like very near there. You know what? I would wait for price to get back above the open here. So the open is like 82. So let's go ahead and map that out. What is it? 82.20. Okay, so if we can get back above the open of this candle, because basically what I'm thinking is this: price was pushing higher, right? We came to this 82 level and immediately got rejected off of this. And I don't know if price is going to come down, chop around in here first for a couple of days before pushing back over here to go higher. But I do know if we can get back above the open of this candle, then we got a pretty nice chance of stretching towards 84, if not 86. Okay, so what you want to do is watch this 82 level here on JD. And if we can get above 82, then I will be thinking, let's step into the 85s, if not the 90s. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong week. 1 second. Okay, here we go. October 15, the 87.50s. That would be how we want to play it, for sure. So the October 15, 87.50s, maybe you can trade the 90s, either of those. That would be the way that I would play it, okay? It looks like there's a silly bet out here at 115. So somebody's betting this thing is going to do something. So take a look at that too. So keep note of this out of the money options action, because that's definitely like, if you look at any other strike, that's the one that's loaded, right? So even on the put side, there's nothing that's as big as 60,000 contracts. And for these to be so far out of the money, that's definitely unusual. So this one may have a nice move built in or on the way to go. All right, so definitely the 90s can be done. All right, so 87.50 or 90 October 15 JDs, that's what I like for that one. All right, but look for price to get over the 82 level if you're going to get involved in that. Let's go over Nvidia. All right, Nvidia could be rolling over with this little 3 candle pattern here. This isn't the greatest setup, I would say that. Let me flip over to the daily real quick and see if things look a bit better. And we're also trading below the band here. So I'd probably say, unless price closed above 26, then I'd be looking for 230, 235, 240. And let's see what the contracts would look like October 15. Nah, I'm not ready to kind of take a bet on those just quite yet. I'm not saying it can't move, because this is definitely a beautiful bull flag. Here's the flag pole and here's the flag, okay? We just don't know if this is going to continue with the same type of little chop activity that it's been doing here. It's been pretty much stuck between 26 and 20. So, you know, we don't know how long that's going to go for. But if price can give you another close above 226, then you could probably try to step into 230s. And this will probably be a shorter dated trade, to be honest. So maybe you want to take a look at like a week out. So September 24th, and then be looking at, yeah, like 235s, 237.50s, or 240s. So that would be the way that I would play it. I would take a look at September 24th, 237.50s or 240s. And that's only if price were to close above 226.36 here. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's the game plan for Nvidia. All right, let's take a look at Path. Now, the reason why we're looking at Path is simple. Cathie Wood put $70 million down. What was it? Was it Thursday? She put 70 milli down on Thursday. Okay, so the bottom may be in. On Friday, you see there were some buyers that tried to step in and kind of follow her lead here. So, you know, I called out the 55 calls, I believe. And let me see, I'm pretty sure it was for September 17th. I called the 55s for those. I know those were profitable because when I called them, they were changed. They might have been 70 cents or something like that. So those doubled up. But I think now you'd have to look out towards the October 15 60s or the 65s. So just keep that in mind. And what I'm looking at is this: the lower Bollinger Band on the daily is at 58. All right, so that would be a natural price target. And then let's flip over to the weekly. And here it's 60, right? So definitely like the 60 level seems reasonable. Okay, so let's focus on that. October 15, 60 calls be a way that we play Path, and that would simply be a piggyback off of Cathie Wood putting 70 million down on Thursday. All right, let's take a look at Pfizer. This is from my boy Jerome. Now remember, this 45.68 level is a 20-year level, okay? Meaning it's acted as resistance for 20 years until finally we were able to break above it. I told you guys, price is definitely gonna have to retest this level first to really lock this thing in as having a firm bottom. Okay, so what I wanna do is this. I wanna see Pfizer continue to hold 45.68. Now, they did come out with news over the weekend. I think it was on either Friday after hours or on Saturday, where they're gonna be looking for approval within the next 5 weeks for the vaccine for children. I believe it's 12 to 5 or either 5 and under. It's one of those. Take a look. The article was on cnet.com. Just search Pfizer stock 5-year-olds and it'll pop up. Okay. But what I'm looking for is for price to maintain this 45.68 level. Let's even just go ahead and call it 46. Okay. If price can get above 46, then we're looking for this to go back to 48 and then potentially 50 and then maybe set some new highs. Okay. But I haven't really seen what looks to be a bottom carved out yet on the daily, right? So if we look at this daily chart, maybe this is a double bottom, right? Maybe we get a green candle here on Monday. And if that's the case, and we can get a close above, 46, then cool. I could agree with, hey, maybe this is a double bottom, and now price is going to push its way back up towards 48, 49, which is where the upper Bollinger Band is. But only if I get a bullish candle on Monday would I be willing to step into this and be looking for, October 15, 48s or 49. So let's see what those look like. They're dummy, stupid, cheap. So just wait, all right? Because you're not missing anything. Oh, these are September 24th. Hold up. Yeah, even still, October 15s are still dummy, stupid, cheap, okay? The 48s are really the way to go, okay? You want to be in front of all this open interest, in my opinion, so that if these folks do hit, you're already in the money. So I would be looking at 48s here, all right? If price can get a daily close for Pfizer above 46, then I would think it would be okay for you to potentially step into the October 15, 48 calls, last price at 53. And that's the way I would play it. Straight facts like that, all right? PTON. I wanted to bring up PTON because they just introduced an apparel line, or rather they intend to introduce an apparel line, which would obviously add more dollars to, to their bottom line, right? Hopefully, assuming that the line is going to be profitable. Now, last week's candle was interesting because it took 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks worth of price action out, all right, in 1 week. So boom, We have 4 weeks of pushing down and then 1 solid week of pushing up. So the question is, are we going to start to trend on the weekly now, right? Is that the move now? Price must push up to 27 before breaking higher. Okay, so we need to get to 27 before breaking higher. So if I wanted to trade this, I would be looking at the 125 calls, but on the daily, where would price need to be for me to get involved? Above this close right here. What is this? 116.25. All right, so if price can break above or get a you know, a nice hourly close above 116.25, or you know, preferably a daily close above that level, then I'd be stepping into 125 calls. The high was 130, so you know what? I'll even give you a pass to try 130s here for October 15. But again, I would continue to stay with these October 15 calls, especially considering quarterly rebalancing of portfolios, into month rebalancing of portfolios, quad witching, you know, all the options expiring, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. SAVA, Cassava, I think that's how you pronounce it. Cassava, SAVA, Sciences. All right, SAVA, excuse me. I thought this one was interesting because price is yet to really, like, all year really retest the bottom Bollinger Band. You see the red line here, and we tested it and now we closed above it like right away. So I'm thinking that the bottom is in for this, to be honest. So what I want to see is for price to continue to trade above last week's close, which is 50.64. So let's go ahead and make that the key level. All right, let's make that the key level. We'll mark that out as green. And let's take a look at how we would position into this. All right, so looking at the daily, on the daily, we also have price closing above the lower Bollinger Band, and that's our bottom play, right? And so now we'd be looking for price to potentially push up here towards 100, to be perfectly honest with you. 65 first, that's where the 155 is. So price would need to get to 65, then above 65, we'd start looking for 100. So let's take a look at the contracts and see if they're cheap enough for us to step in. It looks like all the heat is at the 80s. So, I mean, I guess that's where I'd have to be. These aren't really the cheapest contracts in the world to get involved with. So you'd have to be careful. If I wanted to play the 65s, maybe shorter term, let's see what that's looking like. Nope. Let me look at the Octobers. Nope. No. Right. So really just the October 15s would be the way to play this. And I'd have to be at the 80s, to be honest. And those are a bit pricey. So if that's out of your budget, man, I wouldn't feel too comfortable being at 100, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I would have to say, and even 80 is a stretch. I would really prefer to be at 65, to be perfectly honest. So, you know, take it at your own risk is all I can say really with that one. But the setup is there. All right. Let me try to wrap this up real quick. We got 2 more charts to go over. This one and support. All right, so SBUX, we damn near closed above the upper band. All right, the upper band is at 119.49. We're like 15 cents away from that. The key level that we want to watch is this close right here, which is 118.34, and we closed above that last week. So being that we got the level that we were looking for, that puts this one as a, you know, one that we could go ahead and step into. So at this point, I'm really looking for price to push back up towards 125, which is, you know, a natural quarter point, right? So let's just mark that off right here. So I would say within 2 weeks, we should definitely be able to reach 125 as long as, you know, buyers continue to step into this market. So I would be looking at the October 15 120s or 125, and you could probably hop into those on Monday, depending upon how the day looks. So let's look at the daily real quick. And the daily, I would just want to see price get above the close here. So what's this close here? 119.34. So if we can hold this level, 119.34, then boom, looking for price to push up to, 120, and then make its way towards 125 within a week or two. All right, so that's my thought process here for Starbucks. All right, let me mark out one more level here. This is 122.63. Okay. All right, so I'll be looking for price to push up here towards 122.63. Then if we can get above that, then boom, 125. All right, so we already talked about it. October 15, 120s or 125s. And let's look at support.com, the last one. Slip over to the chart. I already marked this one up a little bit. What I saw was the weekly looked really interesting. With this candle right here, right? It's an indecision candle. It's very near the upper Bollinger Band. I could definitely see price get back above this 22.17 level, which is the open of last week's candle, and then start to push higher towards 26, and then on up and up and up, right? So what we want to do is try to focus on that 25 level that price would have to pass. Let's see what the contracts are looking like. Shit, they're expensive. They really are expensive. Let's see if we can do anything else with this. Let's see if we can trade it a week out. What are the 25s looking for then? Wow, it's pricey, man. 25s here. You know what? I don't love the cost of these contracts, to be perfectly honest with you. But if you did want to play it, the way that I would do it is this. I'll wait for at minimum a 1 hour close above 22.17, and then I would be trying to step into 25s or 26s. Now, if we can get above 26, and this is a 7-point box, I would think that price would head up towards 33. So let's see, how many points is that? Let's go out, see what the 30s are looking like. Even those aren't priced great. Let's look at the October 1st. Yeah, it looks like there's a few bets on the 30s there too. Not a bunch of great options here, but I guess if price were to break above 22.14, that key level, give me at least a 1 hour close above that level, I take a look at October 1st contracts at the 30 strike. And that's probably all I can do here. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the session, and I look forward to trading with you guys next week.